Hope you all enjoyed pre-release, and I got a deck tech for you. Yellow Sabine, surprise, for set 3. Let's dig in. So today I got a deck tech for you all to talk through Yellow Sabine for Twilight of the Republic, set 3. And candidly, you know, Yellow Sabine last set was more of a rogue deck. It definitely had strategic ways to get under the meta, but now it honestly got cards that are just insanely good and might just make it obviously the best deck. And I think there was sort of a rogue deckness to Yellow Sabine, where if you brought it to a tournament, this game is very much about having answers and counters. And if you had Yellow Sabine, a lot of people weren't having answers and counters for those cards. And so, you know, besides Green Boba, a lot of decks you pretty much could just truck through unless they had very specific sideboard techs that happened to also be good against you. Now, we just got even more cards that make Yellow Sabine even more combo-y, consistent, burn, mid-game to late-game finishers, and we're going to dig into that. So the list that I've come up with here is just an evolution of my set 2 list, and as you can tell, the sideboard has a lot of cards in it. I get to play with extra rules. No, the sideboard is essentially a consideration board, and right now it's a bit outdated, but I actually will talk through all of those in a little bit. So starting out, we got quite a few good space units. We got new yellow Cunning Heroism events. We got Plo Koon and Sabine, which arguably are some of the best units printed in this entire set. They're up there, right? And we also got the R2D2. So we have units that are like in the A to S tier ranking for how good they are in the set. Just forget Yellow Sabine exists. They're just good. And then Yellow Sabine does exist, and they get to go into that deck. So let's kind of break down the new cards that we're looking at here. So first off, I want to point out L3. L3 was sort of dogged on last set quite a bit and was played in a non-rebel version of Han Solo, Double Cunning Han Solo, and it wasn't seeing a ton of play. Now, in my Patreon, we decided to test with this, and this card has stolen so many games. The fact that we get Crafty Smuggler that can be in Hero and also can be smuggled later after like a Super Laser Blast, after an Overwhelming Barrage. You can just like play this. It has a shield. You know, if they have a 6 whatever Boba, they can't kill the L3 because it has a shield, and then you can like surprise strike it to finish the game. There's just so many powerful things you can do. I've actually won games with L3 where like I play L3, they play something, I play Blaster, kill their play, they play something, I claim, kill their next play with L3, and then get to play Sabine and like 2 or 3 more units, and they're just like, wow, I have no units, and you have 3 units on the board. You could just do some really crazy stuff with L3, and yeah, so the deck list I just showed you is largely heroism. It'll be linked down below in the description. It's about 50-50 rebel and non-rebel. The reason for that is the rebel package is still honestly just really good. The fact that Sabine is also a rebel kind of means you have to still be edging into that rebel package, but you don't have to be fully committed like we were in set 1 or even set 2. I think there are good reasons where you can play a mix of units because you can pivot from a rebel play line to a L3 Blaster or L3 and 2 space units and flood the board. There are so many pivots with the deck that you're not like locked into always playing rebels. And if you do have rebels in your hand, rebel synergy in your hand, there are ways to make use of it later in the game with your leader or with other combos in the deck. So the deck is still largely heroism, and for a cause I believe in, it's still just the best burn card in the game, in my opinion, and I'm going to be leaning into that as much as possible. That being said, Frank from the Bothan Network, or Soldak on Discord, he did top 8 with a non-heroism version of Yellow Sabine that was not playing for a cause I believe in. He was playing outmaneuvers, he was playing blasters, he was playing snapshot reflexes for space units, and he got a top 8. So again, this needs to be tested, and I'm going to talk about that again at the very end of this video. All right, so L3 has proven to be an excellent card. Shield with Blaster or Heroic Resolve is just super good in Smuggle. I kind of already went over that. Card is amazing, and I just wanted to highlight that a big learning from set 2 was that L3 was a card was like, oh, it's not a rebel, blah, 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 blah. But it was just stealing games because a shielded unit sometimes just couldn't be answered with one action. and they only had one attacker left or something like that, and it was able to be a vehicle to slap a pump effect on and carry you to the win. Let's move on here to R2D2. Again, the card that, you know, got a lot of flack now. Apparently I'm a clickbaiter for this one. Go look at everyone's videos. It's like the best card, one of the best cards in the set, guys. You know, I was a bit hyperbolic with my language, but you know, that was because I was excited, right? I'm excited to see such a powerful card get printed. It's very, very good early. It's good mid game, and it's good late. Why? TU4 on turn 1. That's really good. Good mid. You can play it with another 2-drop, so you can flood the board and turn on Coordinate for some decks. That's pretty good. And then it's also good mid and good late for this reason. You can play it to pitch a card that's kind of mediocre, like an Alliance X-Wing, or like a 1-drop you don't want, or something like that, to go find the 4 cause I believe in, to go find the pump, to go find the surprise strike, to go find the sneak attack, to essentially pitch dead cards, to find live cards that can sequence into a victory. And R2D2 giving you that agency over your card filtering is one of the most powerful effects in any card game. It's known that being able to filter cards in this manner by searching, it's called like a ponder type effect, or a brainstorm, or an anticipate. You know, ponder was a card that was really popular, which is why I coined that term, even though this card isn't exactly like ponder. I get that. But the idea of looking at the top 3 is a very powerful effect to just, again, give you agency over what you're drawing. And I think what's interesting is you draw 2 cards in this game. So if you have no cards in your hand and you draw R2, you know that you can play R2 and pitch that other card if you need to. And just knowing that the core game mechanics sort of puzzle perfectly into his when played ability. It's like, oh, I draw him with another card that I could pitch if I want to. It just fits a little too perfect. And I think the card's amazing. It's a good target for Blaster. It's going to live a long time. You don't always want to play this on turn 1, but it's great to play on turn 2 or 3 with like a 2-drop and a 1-drop, or like 2 2-drops. It's just a really good way to flood the board, and it's just very hard to deal with, and it's got 2 power, which is great. I think this card is amazing, and it's good in any deck that plays it. I mean, I feel like if I see a yellow hero deck that's not playing this, I just close my browser. Like, I'm not even going to look at it, because the card is so stupidly strong. All right, so Sabine, very interesting card. Don't really know if she's actually good. Her ability seems insane, right? The fact that when you play her, she's exhausted and she can't be attacked. It just seems like, what? That's crazy. But she is 4 resources, right? She also has an on-attack ability, if that wasn't enough. On attack, you may discard a card from your deck if it doesn't share an aspect with your base, so that would be Cunning in this sense. Deal 2 damage to a ground unit. That's pretty good. You can, you know, ping off like Sentinels and stuff like that, or ping off like another unit and 2-for-1 them. I love the turn that you play her, you can't attack her, and she's very good with Blaster. So if you play her, and then like later, you smuggle in a Hotshot Blaster, she attacks for 6, and then she's also unattackable again. And so a lot of people have talked about these soft locks, right? Where some decks may not have bounce or something like that, or if they don't have bounce or Sentinel, that you basically have to like claim initiative poorly so that you can have the first action to kill her. Because, and then you're probably going to win anyways as Sabine if your opponent's like giving up their entire turn to like claim and kill her or something like that. Because she can just attack first action if the Sabine player, the Sabine Wren, you can count on me player, has initiative. So she's just really good in that sense. Again, I feel like this card is weird though, because I feel like I need to test it. Like a lot of times this deck is winning on turn 5. So I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a bit turn 4-5. So I'm not sure. Very, very good card that we get to play with though. And it's nice that it's yellow. So if you have Sabine, the 2-cost Sabine, you deploy your leader Sabine and you play this Sabine, your 2-cost Sabine is invulnerable. So you can play all 3 Sabines, and they'll be, one of them will be invulnerable. The other one will be unattackable. The other one will be unattackable. And then your leader, you know, if it doesn't die, pretty much guarantees that you're going to keep all your units, which is a bit ridiculous, honestly, that you can pull that sort of sequence together in this deck. So it's possible that you should play all 3 of these. I'm playing 1 right now, just as like a test. I have many versions of this deck. I can't show you all of them because it doesn't make for a good video, but this card is something I'm definitely looking at. All right, I'm yapping here. All right, Wolfpack Escort, 2-1 Republic Vehicle Fighter, 1 cost. Okay, it works with red 3. So it attacks for 3 when you have red 3 out. You can bounce R2, and more importantly, you can flood space, right? So you just get all these space units your opponent can't interact with. It's going to look beautiful in hyperspace foil. But more importantly, you get to bounce earlier units to replay them and get value out of this combo. Again, not Christmas Land, because this is just one instance of the combo, but Sneak Attack. You can guarantee a unit in hand to replay and get maximum value out of those close to close out games. So you could play like Fleet Lieutenant, turn 2 with your A-Wing, attack for 5. Like later, if Fleet Lieutenant doesn't die, you can attack with Fleet Lieutenant, Wolfpack Escort, bounce the fleet to hand, Sneak Attack, attack with Fleet Lieutenant for 5 to base. Because if you don't know, if you're watching this, most people know this by now, but if you play Sneak Attack with Fleet Lieutenant can target himself with his one plate ability and get an immediate 5/3 attack into base. That is insane. And I in testing, I've won like 8 or 9 games already doing exactly this. If you know about it, you can essentially, the Wolfpack can essentially be this way to guarantee that you'll have a unit with the Sneak. So you can attack with that unit, bounce it, play it with Sneak to get a double attack in. Not ideal, but again, it's creating a bit of a safety net when you play Sneak Attack. What's the problem with Sneak Attack? Oh, I draw 2 cards, and it's Sneak Attack and a Surprise Strike. Well, guess what? If you have 2 cards in your hand, and the other cards you have are also not units, Sneak Attack is a literal dead card. And so that has happened a lot in all versions of decks that play Sneak Attack, like, Boba decks, Yellow Sabine decks, Han decks. It happens a lot, and it's pretty annoying. Especially when you're starting to play like, more than 11 to 12 events, it's like possible you just get like flooded with like an upgrade in like this card. And you can't win a game when you draw a card and it's functionally dead in hand. It doesn't do anything. And Wolfpack creates a safety net where if you have that, you don't want to Sneak Attack in a Wolfpack. That doesn't make sense. It's a very low value, low ceiling, but the Wolfpack can unlock different lines. And I think that's very important. This 1-cost card is kind of insane. I think we're going to see it played in a lot of different decks. All right. So Plo Koon, I'm going to call it, it's Poe without ECL. Man, is that my hot take? Is that like my tagline for this set? I need to like put the Drake meme of like Poe and then Plo Koon. That's the thumbnail for the video. That's it. All right. So Plo Koon without needing to run ECL. This deck again is a go wide deck. If you go back and if you look at the deck list, there's a lot of 1-drops. There's a lot of 2-drops. There's a lot of 1-drops. And then Sabine also deploys on 4. So you're going to have 3 units when you play this card, and he counts himself. So he's going to smack for 6. He can kill Boba Fett leader if you have red 3 the previous turn and it lives. This hits for 7/6 and kills Boba Fett. I mean, that's crazy. Like, that's really good. And kills so many Sentinels and problem ground units with 5 HP, right? So we have like Toro, we got Forlom, looking at the villain cards there. We got Cassian. There's so many like 5 HP units that are like, I'm never going to kill this thing. It's just, this deck doesn't want to waste like multiple events and actions to kill a 5 HP unit. And Plo Koon just smacks for 6 and deletes it and gets to live. So, even if you play him as like a 3/6, if you're like behind and stuff, like it's a 3/6. Like Chewbacca was a 3/6, and we played that as a Sentinel in the previous set. I mean, it's still okay. The low ceiling in this card is like mid. The high ceiling is like, oh, I'm gonna win. So like I'm winning right now in this game. Rather. And so yeah, huge fan of this card. Art's kind of mid. Hope we get like a really cool PQ promo. Like, can we please get a participation promo of this card? Like FFG, it's probably already printed, but like, please, I hope we get like the yellow lightning. That would be sick. I know that's Legends, but like, come on, you guys got access to that. Let's do it. All right, so those are the new cards that I'm considering for the main deck. Now, there are more cards after this slide. All right, so Pentrocki Arena. I know somebody's already commented that as they're watching this video. They're probably like, what about Pentrocki Arena? Well, I got you. You already commented. You're called out. What about this new base, right? We're giving up 4 HP instead of 5, right? We're giving up 4 HP to get an additional attack on Sabine. So Sabine becomes a 3/5. So +1 attack, 3/5. Okay, well, what's the ceiling on this? Let's think about it. Wing Leader plus Blaster on Sabine. Sabine hits for 8 damage, guys. She's, I believe she's a 7/7 at that point. Like, woo, that's crazy. That is super, super strong. So, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, she becomes a 7/7 and she smacks for 8 on turn 3 and she ain't gonna die. As a 7/7. So if you can pull that off, wow, the ceiling. And if you can get 2 attacks off with your leader with this base, it is undoubtedly worth it. And that's sort of the math we've done in the background. Like if you can get 2 attacks in with your leader with this base, if you can guarantee that in a matchup, or, you know, at a high level of degree guarantee that, you should play this base. If you can get 1 attack in with your leader, is it worth it? Maybe. You're giving up 4 life for 1 extra damage. And if you get 1, maybe. If you get 0, this base is horrible, right? If you get Syndicate Lackeys, if you get, modded cohorted with Quinlan and they smack for 5, it's horrible. Like you're just playing a 26 life base to play a 26 life base. Now, couple of considerations there. That is completely meta dependent. What are we expecting into the meta? Do you need to go fast? And I don't think this card is good in aggro mirrors because a lot of times 4 HP is 5 HP, like some of the aggro decks that are playing 25 life bases. Having a 30 life base is just like, wow, you need like an extra surprise strike in deck to win or something like that. And it's really, really good. Now, I don't know. Actually, like I thought at first this base was horrible, but the more I think about it, it's not cut and dry. It's very meta dependent, and this base could be good. And I think the fact that it's 26 is a little cheeky. It's like, yep, okay, we got 1 more HP than like ECL or like Jeddah City. Bad base. But I have found that it's not good in mirrors because in mirrors, they can, if the mirror aggro deck can like control you down, then you're just like, you need that extra padding of life to really come back. And if you don't have that, you're probably going to lose. So again, that's also dependent on what you sideboard. Do you have sideboard slots for aggro mirrors? Let's talk about that. All right. So sideboarding and non-hero. So there are some legitimate considerations here for set 3. Do we want to play tempo sideboard cards? Do we want to play tempo main deck cards, right? We could main deck Geonosis Patrol Fighter, 3/2 exploit 2 when played, bounce a unit. I don't know, maybe you played the Wolf Pack, attack with it, and then play this for 3 and bounce their turn 2 play. That seems like really good, especially because you get a 3/2 space unit and you just like push space and dodge lanes completely. Fang Fighter's also been an all-star. Frank from Boston Network played this, and Fang Fighter was an all-star in his non-hero deck because he was able to destroy bounties, Dark Sabers, Boba's Armors, and won him a lot of games. Okay, Wolf is pretty bad, but it's good against these like mega life gain decks. Maybe we play Wolf. I don't know. Now there are 2 of them. Probably seems bad, but again, I wouldn't really play this unless I was playing a non-hero version. You can get like Underworld cards like Zori Bliss out on turn 2, Chewbacca. You can get Zeb with Rebels on turn 2. You know, it's possible that that's worth it. Snapshot Reflexes is kind of an okay card to play on space and ground units to get that +1 toughness and attack. Outmaneuver is kind of insane if you're a heavy space deck. Ahsoka Tano in the sideboard for decks that kill your turn 1 play. There are a lot of decks that like the main premise of the deck is to like kill your turn 1 play. So Ahsoka can help you come back. And then Clear the Field is a hero bounce effect that is very good. And I'm honestly considering it in the main deck or as a 2-of in sideboard between Bamboozle and this. It's a nutty card. So do we play tempo? Do we play anti-upgrade? Do we play anti-life? Do we play upgrades, cheating more with like the sneak stuff with now there are 2 of them? Or do we play more smuggle cards like Falcon or Cassian? There's a lot of testing that needs to be done here. And honestly, it doesn't all fit into a video because these are like 4 different decks that I could potentially create. So overall, what's going on here? We need to continue to learn about hero versus non-hero. We need to have the sideboard is completely open because sideboards respond to the meta. The meta isn't developed yet. Do we play tempo? Again, all of this is very meta dependent and we still need more testing. So I do have a list I'll put down in here that has been vetted. It's been very good. If you want to go to your locals like next week and start getting, 3-4-0ing your locals, you will do this with this deck. Just watch out for the Quinlan decks that want to one-shot your Sabine. Play around that, play smart, and you'll win. And if you want to know more about how this deck evolves, honestly, a lot of this stuff is happening in the Patreon, so I'll link that below. There's about 40 to 50 of us now, and we talk about each other's deck ideas. We have deck discussions. I post at least once a month a very, very high quality competitive deck. But there's other decks being posted. There's other people in the Bothan network that have, at will, their own will actually jump in. There are people who've top-aided PQs. We'll share their newest deck ideas. We'll do deck reviews. We do town halls and things like that. So if you want to stay up to date, I can't constantly post the same video on Yellow Sabine. The Patreon is kind of where that kind of stuff happens. This is I'm giving you all my recent findings, but you can see there's a lot to be done, and you can't just do that. Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't just do that overnight. And there's a lot more testing that needs to be done. If you want to stay up to date on that, that is going to be in the Patreon, which I'll link below. So thanks so much. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't want to join the Patreon, you can still follow me here, and hope to talk to you soon.